Hey there, 80s kids and nostalgia lovers. Molly here, and let me tell you, putting on my acid wash jeans and leg warmers to film this brought back some memories. Today we're diving into the time machine to look at things that were considered the epitome of fancy in the 80s but have lost their sparkle today. We're talking about the stuff that made you the envy of all your friends. The stuff that screamed, "I'm living in the future." Buckle up, it's going to be a hilarious ride. First up, we've got shoulder pads. Yes, those iconic fashion statements that made everyone look like they were ready to tackle a quarterback. Remember when looking like a linebacker was the height of fashion? It was the 80s, and bigger was definitely better. Shoulder pads were everywhere, from the office to the nightclub. You couldn't walk down the street without seeing shoulder pads the size of dinner plates. They were in blazers, dresses, and even casual wear. It was like everyone had suddenly decided that their shoulders needed to make a statement. I swear you could have landed a small plane on some of those things. The more exaggerated, the better. It was a time when fashion was all about making bold, unapologetic statements. And the best part? It wasn't just women's fashion. Men were getting in on the action too. Business suits, casual jackets, even t-shirts sometimes had those built-in shoulder pads. Oh no, men were rocking shoulder pads too. It was like a unisex fashion revolution. Everyone wanted that broad-shouldered, powerful look. It was like everyone was trying out for the WWF. The influence of sports and athleticism was undeniable. Even if you weren't into wrestling, you could still look like you were ready to step into the ring. I mean, I get it, we all want to look powerful and in charge, but I think we took it a little too far with the whole shoulder pad thing. It was a symbol of strength and authority, but sometimes it just looked a bit ridiculous. It's like we were all walking around with our own personal set of shoulder-mounted missiles. The fashion was bold, daring, and definitely unforgettable. It was a time when fashion didn't just follow trends, it created them. And shoulder pads were at the forefront of that movement. Celebrities and fashion icons of the time embraced the trend wholeheartedly. From movie stars to pop singers, everyone was seen sporting those iconic shoulder pads. They became a symbol of the era, representing the bold and extravagant spirit of the 80s. And believe it or not, shoulder pads have made a comeback in recent years. Modern designers have reimagined them, giving a nod to the past while adding a contemporary twist. It's fascinating to see how fashion trends evolve and come full circle. Today you can find shoulder pads in various forms, from subtle enhancements to dramatic statements. Social media influencers and fashion enthusiasts are experimenting with them, bringing a touch of the 80s into the 21st century. Fashion designers continue to draw inspiration from the past, and shoulder pads are a perfect example of how a bold trend can be reinvented for a new generation. It's a testament to the enduring impact of 80s fashion, so whether you love them or hate them, shoulder pads have left an indelible mark on the world of fashion. They remind us that sometimes it's okay to be bold, to stand out, and to embrace a little bit of the unexpected. Here's to the shoulder pads, the unsung heroes of 80s fashion, and their surprising resurgence in today's style scene. Fashion is ever evolving, and who knows what bold trend will make a comeback next. Next up, we've got the VCR, the ultimate movie night essential. If you didn't have a VCR, were you even living? It was like having a movie theater in your living room. Except, you had to rewind the movie before you could watch it again. And don't even get me started on trying to set the timer to record your favorite show. It was like trying to defuse a bomb. But hey, at least we didn't have to wait in line at Blockbuster. Remember Blockbuster? Those were the days. Except when they didn't have the movie you wanted and you had to settle for something else. Now let's talk about waterbeds. Remember those? They were all the rage back in the 80s and 90s. Everyone thought they were the epitome of luxury and comfort. But were they really? Because nothing says luxury like a bed that can spring a leak and flood your bedroom. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of water gushing out, only to find your entire room turned into a mini swimming pool. Not exactly the relaxing experience you signed up for, right? Seriously, who thought it was a good idea to sleep on a giant bag of water? The concept sounds fun in theory, but in practice, it was a whole different story. You'd lie down and the bed would ripple and move, making it nearly impossible to find a comfortable position. It was like trying to sleep on a water balloon. Every time you moved, the bed would move with you, creating waves that would disturb your sleep. And let's not forget the bouncing. Oh, the bouncing. It was like being on a trampoline, but not in a fun way. And don't even get me started on the temperature control. Waterbeds came with built-in heaters to keep the water at a comfortable temperature. But getting it just right was a challenge. Too cold, and you'd be shivering all night. Too hot, and you'd feel like you were sleeping in a sauna. You were either freezing your butt off or sweating like you were in a sauna. There was no in between, and adjusting the temperature wasn't instant. It could take hours for the water to heat up or cool down, leaving you stuck in discomfort. And if you had a significant other, forget about it. Sharing a waterbed was a nightmare. Every movement one person made would send the other person bouncing around. It was like trying to sleep on a seesaw, constantly going up and down. It was like trying to sleep on a seesaw. One person moves, and the other person gets jolted awake. It was a never-ending cycle of disturbance, not exactly conducive to a good night's sleep or a harmonious relationship. One minute you're up, the next minute you're down. It was a constant battle to stay still and get some rest. And let's not forget the seasickness. Yes, seasickness. Some people actually felt nauseous from the constant motion. But hey, at least you could pretend you were sleeping on the ocean. The gentle waves could be soothing if you were into that sort of thing. It was like having a little piece of the sea right in your bedroom. Just close your eyes and imagine you're on a boat, gently rocking with the waves, as long as you didn't mind the occasional seasickness. For some, the motion was too much to handle, leading to a queasy feeling that was anything but relaxing. So, while waterbeds had their charm, they were definitely not for everyone. Next up, we've got Cabbage Patch Kids. These dolls were so fancy, people were literally fighting over them in stores. I'm not even kidding. Black Friday had nothing on the Cabbage Patch Kid craze of the 80s. People were going crazy trying to get their hands on these dolls. And for what? They weren't even that cute. They all looked like they'd just been startled by a ghost. But hey, they were all the rage. And if you were lucky enough to get your hands on one, you were the coolest kid on the block. Or at least you thought you were. Let's move on to the Walkman. The Walkman, a true icon of its time. It was the gadget that promised freedom, the ability to take your music anywhere you went. But, oh, the reality was often far from the dream. Portable music was a game changer, but those clunky Walkmans, they were like carrying a small brick in your pocket. Sure, it was revolutionary to have your favorite tunes with you, but the bulkiness was a real drawback. Not so much. I mean, sure, it was amazing to be able to listen to your music on the go, but the experience was far from perfect. The sound quality was decent, but the convenience factor? Not so much. But have you ever tried to jog with a Walkman? It was a challenge, to say the least. The device would bounce around, making it almost impossible to enjoy a smooth run. It was like strapping a brick to your hip. The weight and size made it cumbersome, and you had to constantly adjust it to keep it from falling off. And don't even get me started on the headphones. Those things were brutal. The foam padding would wear out quickly, leaving you with hard plastic digging into your ears. They were like wearing 2 tin cans on your ears. The sound leakage was terrible, and everyone around you could hear what you were listening to. But hey, at least you could rock out to your favorite cassette tapes. Remember cassette tapes? Those were the days. Each tape was like a little treasure trove of music, and making mixtapes was an art form. Except when they got all tangled up. That was the worst. You'd be in the middle of your favorite song, and suddenly, the tape would start to unravel, and you had to spend hours trying to untangle them with a pencil. It was a painstaking process, but there was something oddly satisfying about getting the tape back in order. Ah, the joys and struggles of pre-iPod music. And who could forget about neon everything? From clothes to accessories, if it wasn't neon, it wasn't cool. We were like walking glow sticks. Seriously, you could see us coming from a mile away. We were a walking, talking safety hazard. But hey, at least we were visible. And let's be real, neon is pretty awesome. It's like wearing a party on your body. And in the 80s, we were all about partying. We were the party generation. Next up, we've got the Rubik's Cube, the ultimate brain teaser that everyone had, but few could solve. Seriously, how did anyone ever figure this thing out? It was like trying to solve a math equation in a foreign language, but hey, at least it kept us entertained. For about 5 minutes. Then we'd get frustrated and chuck it across the room. But hey, at least it made a satisfying thud when it hit the wall. Let's move on to Swatch watches. These colorful watches were the ultimate status symbol. If you had a Swatch, you were the envy of all your friends. You were cool, you were hip, you were probably still wearing shoulder pads. But hey, at least you had a cool watch. And let's be real, Swatch watches were pretty awesome. They were colorful, they were fun, and they were affordable. Which was good because you probably spent all your money on shoulder pads. And who could forget about Trapper Keepers? The coolest way to keep your school papers organized. Or so we thought. Let's be real, those things were a disaster waiting to happen. One wrong move and your entire locker would be covered in loose-leaf paper. But hey, at least they looked cool. And they came in all sorts of awesome designs, like unicorns and rainbows and puppies. Okay, maybe not puppies. And last but not least, we've got big hair. The bigger the hair, the closer to, well, the 80s. Hairspray was everyone's best friend. We used it by the gallon. Seriously, you could have built a house out of all the hairspray we used in the 80s. But hey, at least our hair looked good. Or at least we thought it did. And there you have it, folks. A hilarious trip down memory lane to the 80s. From shoulder pads to waterbeds to big hair, we covered it all. It was a time of bold fashion choices, questionable inventions, and some seriously questionable hairstyles. But hey, we wouldn't trade it for the world. What was your favorite fancy item from back then? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fun videos.